Now, e-scooters, they're facing new restrictions from August, with under-18s banned from using them and helmets and high-vis becoming mandatory. This move follows growing concern over serious injuries, particularly amongst children.
But should they be banned completely? We'd love to get your opinion on this. To talk through it, we're joined by independent motoring expert with CarZone, Conor Faughnan, and Garda Representative Association President Niall Hodgins. Good morning to you, lads. Thanks so much for joining us.
Morning.
Listen, we're seeing this across a lot of the papers this morning, talking about a clampdown on e-scooters. In terms of this and the safety to children, we're talking about 1/3 of traumatic brain injuries admitted this year have been linked to e-scooters, and a 50% increase in just 12 months. Like, it is...
Oh, it's a real problem, Tommy.
Yeah.
There's no pretending the problem isn't there. And it's a new technology, and we're just seeing them on the streets. So we can't deny that, kids are getting hurt. Why is that happening? Well, it's illegal for the kids to be using them anyway, particularly on footpaths and in parks and housing estates, and where you see them being used. It's an antisocial behaviour that's really, really dangerous. How do we fix that? Well, I guess we have to strengthen the Gardaí. We may need to tweak the laws, but I'm viscerally against the idea that you can just ban something from Leinster House as if it was a Harry Potter wand and stop it from happening. And we have to remember that a properly used e-scooter is a brilliant piece of technology. I mean, it's July now. Come November, we're going to be talking about traffic jams in Dublin again, and Limerick and Galway and the other cities.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's a terrific part of the solution. And when used properly, it's a great piece of technology. So I think the fact that it is being abused by a cohort which is really around antisocial behaviour, like the Scramblers conversation that we had a few months ago, we have to do something about that behaviour. We have to stop kids getting hurt. But the notion that you can go to the whole of the compliant population and hand everybody a high-vis and a helmet as if that was going to make a blind bit of difference to the badly behaved feral teenagers that are running around selling drugs off the things at the moment. So I agree we have to do something. I'm never a fan of the absolute ban. And I think doing something like we've done, that Cabinet did yesterday, if you're not going to back that up with significant enhancement to Garda resources, give those guys the tools they need, feels like there's a little bit of pearl clutching to it, to be honest.
So let's talk about this, Niall. What are your members saying in relation to this? They're already banned for the under-16s, but we're talking about having registrations, high-vis and the helmets. What do you make of this?
Well, I listened to what Conor said, and of course he spoke about those users of these things, the compliant users. I suppose our customers, if you put it in italics, our service users, what they say, are generally non-compliant. Won't comply with Garda directions. So the position as it stands at the moment is our members may direct somebody to stop on one of these things. And if they decide not to comply with that direction, well, then they'll take off down by roads, they'll go off-road, down laneways and continue to engage in their criminality. So yesterday was an opportunity to provide us with the tools that we require to police this.
What are the tools you require to police this?
So I suppose it would be something that might... the current situation is that Garda managers will use slippery language and say that I will authorise you to follow one of these things, given certain circumstances. So say in an armed robbery type of scenario. So our members will activate blue lights and sirens. But if anything happens as a consequence of that pursuit, well, then Garda managers tell my members, you're on your own. We currently have 10 of them before the courts. In fact, in cases where I know that there wasn't even criminal damage or personal injury to any member of the public involved, or indeed the user. So we have a situation whereby now us as a representative body have to tell our members not to engage these things, because we've been afforded no protection as a result of yesterday's meeting.
So realistically, criminals or people up to no good can take off on an e-scooter and there's nothing that can be done about it because the guards or nobody can chase them? For the fear that if anything bad was to happen, if they were to crash, it would fall on that guard's responsibility.
It's the way, Tommy, of the personal risk of intervening. Whereas a member I represent in my own division in North Inner City faced a 2-year ban earlier on this year. Now, what does that 2-year ban look like for him? He cannot drop his kids off to school, collect his kids from school. He can't perhaps turning to work one day, because we all know guards work outside at the hours of public transport. But in respect of the overall scene here, it is absolute. I'm in bewildered awe that no protections have been afforded to our members as a result of yesterday's meeting.
0896 111 111. We'd love to hear from you. We're focusing in on a cohort, Conor, in relation to an awful lot of this. And Niall, as you've said, some people who act outside the laws are always going to act outside the laws.
Yeah.
So can we, because we don't seem to be talking about people who are compliant, and now there's even, like on the front of the Irish Daily Mail, they're saying they could be bringing cyclists into this.
Registration plates on people's bicycles and forcing them to wear high vis.
I sincerely hope, guys, that that's just a July story, because the notion, if you were in government tomorrow, Tommy, right, and I said to you, you can bring in a law that makes a high-vis and helmet compulsory for all cyclists at all times, you might think, well, that makes sense, they might be a bit safer. In fact, it's a terrible idea from a policy point of view. Everywhere that it's been tried, it's been demonstrated that no matter what your intention, when you introduce a law like that, you cut numbers of cycling enormously. The number of cyclists just goes down. That's the outcome of what you do. It doesn't matter what your intention was. That's what the outcome is. And again, why are we doing this? We're not doing this because the ordinary flowing cyclist in Cork and Galway and Dublin on the route to work in the morning, the kids going to school, we don't have a problem there. We're doing this because of a specific antisocial behaviour problem among, let's be honest, feral youngsters in parts of some of our towns and cities that are using these devices as an aid to street crime. That's the problem that we have. We don't do anything about solving that problem by introducing a whole host of new rules and regulations for the 99% of the population that's well behaved and compliant. The scumbags weren't listening to your old laws. They won't listen to your new ones either. So you're not actually achieving anything. And if you can't support Niall and his colleagues and allow the Gardaí to do realistic work, look, we're familiar with jurisdictions in the world, the United States and other places where, you know, cops shoot citizens and it doesn't even make the news. We never want to live in a country like that in Ireland.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you cannot say to Gardaí, we want you to stop these wild youngsters mounting footpaths, selling drugs, tearing around the place on souped-up e-scooters, but we want you to do that without giving you any power, any resources or any backing. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter what the Cabinet says on Monday. It's not going to work on the street.
Obviously, Grace Lynch's father, Martin Lynch, has come out, like his daughter was crashed into by a scrambler bike. He said that this doesn't go far enough. We're talking about people who are dying on our roads. As of a few weeks ago, 76 people had died. 36 drivers, 19 pedestrians, 13 passengers, 6 motorcyclists, 4 cyclists and 1 e-scooter. Policing. Guards' road policing has gone down 40% since 2009, from 1,046 to 645. Some say it's 602 now, Niall. Is that not, like, when we take in all the vehicles on our road, is this not a huge issue? Because if we're talking about trying to register e-scooters, who's there to catch things like this?
So I'm going to take it even further, Miriam, that policing numbers are far down on what they are. And in fact, there are shortages in every single unit right across the nation, particularly the frontline members. And for years we've been calling for an optimum numbers survey and we've been ignored. So policemen and policewomen across this country are having their hands tied behind their back with overzealous oversight too. And in fact, I have anecdotal evidence whereby when issues arise with regards to accountability, a lower threshold. The Commissioner has spoke about seeking a higher threshold be sought in respect to prosecutions taken against our members. But I would say in all aspects of policing, there's a particular arm of the state there applying a lower threshold to Gardaí when directing prosecutions against them.
You should be held to a higher standard. Do you know, guards should be held to a higher standard.
And that is no problem. We have absolutely no issue with oversight whatsoever, but we expect the rules to be applied to us as every other citizen of the state.
Listen, it's right across all the papers this morning. We'd love to get your opinion on it at home. 0896 111 111. Conor Faughnan, independent motoring expert at CarZone. Thanks so much for joining us. And Niall Hodgins from the GRA. Thank you.